Legends and hero tales are found in every country or nation in the world. They give us a marvelous insight into the lives and character of a people at a particular time in their history. In ancient Greece, for example, there was a time when legends were used to explain natural objects. Children were taught that if they would use their imagination, they might observe that the sun was really Apollo, driving his fiery horses and chariot across the sky. Turning to Spain, we find that for 700 years there was a desperate struggle to expel the Moors, who had invaded from Africa. The legendary hero who arose to meet the challenge was a Spanish nobleman who came to be known as El Cid. In English history, there was a time when the people were being oppressed by the conquering Normans. The legendary hero of this struggle was Robin Hood. Using Sherwood Forest as a base of operations, he became the champion of the people in their fight for individual rights and freedom. In America, the concept of freedom was established early in our history, so our legends took a different tack. The physical barriers which lay between man and the West, the ramparts of the Appalachians, the wild Ohio Valley, the vast plains, the forbidding Rockies and Sierras, these became the foe to be overcome. Here are just a few of the heroes who have become a part of our American folklore. They have been subject to many interpretations, as fact has been blended with fiction. One of the most colorful to emerge, Davy Crockett. Davy spent his early years as a trapper and pioneer farmer, but he was soon elected to Congress, and it was here that his legend started to grow. But he also won the respect of his fellow congressmen as a sincere, plain-spoken champion of the people. His job in Congress finished, Davy went to Texas, where he died fighting bravely as one of the defenders of the Alamo. Today, the Alamo is in the center of the modern city of San Antonio, Texas, a reminder of the debt we owe to soldier statesmen like Davy Crockett. The opening of the West required other types of adventurers too, and one of the most unique was the legendary Johnny Appleseed. He was born about the time of the American Revolution. His real name was John Chapman. As a young man, Johnny developed a love for all of nature, and especially for apple trees.
Out in the great unknown, get on the wagon and roll to the west where you'll be left alone. Ain't no hope before, we start along again. We ain't afraid of man or beast as strong heart and hand. Get on the wagon and roll to the west where you'll be left alone.
Yes, Johnny Appleseed followed the wagons rolling west. And wherever he went, he planted the seeds of apple trees. But something much greater, too. The seeds of kindness, good neighborliness, and an unselfish regard for those who would follow in his footsteps. This was the true pioneering spirit. And when we consider the future of America, the need to conserve our natural resources, and the need to plan for future generations, we should remember the example of Johnny Appleseed. But while vision and foresight were valuable assets to pioneers, so was a sense of humor. Tall tales told around the hot stoves in winter helped to mock the hardships of weather and hard physical labor. One of the best-known legendary heroes created in this way was a work giant known as Paul Bunyan. Believed to have been a Canadian logger of French ancestry, his true identity was soon lost in legends and fiction. Paul was said to have been of huge proportions. A fellow lumberjack described him this way.
I am Chris Crosshall, straw boss of a logging crew in the Middle West. I will never forget the first time I saw Paul Bunyan. I was topping trees one morning. I looked up, and there stood the biggest man I ever saw.
Well, he picked up his axe and he chopped a tree clean down with his forward swing. Got him another when his axe swung back, that timber couldn't clean. He kept on a-chopping the livelong day, and then when it was night, he walked back over the stumps he'd cut and stomped them out of sight. Thanks, Paul.
What? Nothing.
Paul Bunyan.
In our our modern lumbering industry, huge labor-saving machinery now does the work of many Paul Bunyans. Another giant of American folklore was a Negro Superman named John Henry. The original John Henry was said to have worked on the C&O Railroad in West Virginia when the Big Bend Tunnel was being built. John Henry was known as the best steel-driving man in that part of the country. That is, until somebody came up with a newfangled, rip-snorting steam drill. John thought he could beat anybody or any contraption at drilling holes, so a contest was arranged. Big John against the machine. The word spread. People came from miles around to see who would win, John Henry or the steam drill. A sudden stillness came over the crowd as the referee raised his pistol and said,
On your marks, ready, set, go!
But John Henry wasn't in any hurry to get started.
Egad, John Henry's ahead of the steam drill already. The steam drill's closing the gap. Hey, come on, steam drill! John Henry's ahead by a mile. Look out! She's out of control! Hey, John won!
It was one of man's last stands against the machine. But John Henry's fame was based on something more. He stood for the dignity of good, honest, hard labor. And it was because of this that he grew to the stature of a legendary hero. Our construction industry now handles all kinds of mammoth projects, from dams to skyscrapers. But we have never lost our respect for the skill of the individual workman. Still another type of legendary character was an ingenious individual known as Windwagon Smith. Some say his true name was Thomas, but all agree that he suddenly appeared in the little town of Westport, Kansas.
Avast there, lovers. I'm Captain Smith, and I've sailed the 7 seas. Now I've cruised to the west, and I intend to sail the lone prairies.
Well, your clothes don't look like nothing we've seen, but your wagon is a type we approve. With no oxen or horses to pull the darn thing, must be the wind makes her move.
You guessed it, my hearty. But now let's stow the talk.
Rumor has it that a company was formed and that a real wind wagon was actually built.
They laid out the keel of the super wind wagon, worked on her day and night. White oak and hickory were used in the ribs, birch for the wheel, just right.
Yippee-yi-yi and a yo-ho-ho, on our maiden voyage we sail. We're on our way to old Santa Fe, and we're really a-blazing the trail.
Old-timers say that Windwagon Smith and his strange craft were last seen when he met a Kansas cyclone headed west. The novel experiment of Windwagon Smith borders on fantasy, but his legend personalizes for us some of the traits which have made Americans what they are. Qualities like Yankee inventiveness, the willingness to try new things, the genius for labor-saving machinery and mass production, the constant search for better and more efficient ways to get a job done. One of the most unusual inventors of American legendary history came from the great Southwest, and strangely enough, was a cowboy. His name was Pecos Bill. Though not a real person, Pecos Bill was said to have invented just about everything connected with the cow business.
Whoa! Pecos Bill was quite a cowboy down in Texas, and a Western Superman, to say the least. He was the roughest, toughest critter, never known to be a quitter, 'cause he never had no fear of man or beast. So yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-o, for the toughest critter west of the Alamo. Once he rode the raging cyclone out of nowhere. Then he straddled it and settled down with ease. And while that cyclone bucked and flitted, Pecos rolled the smoke and lit it, and he tamed that ornery wind down to a breeze. So yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yi. While reclining on a cloud high over Texas, with his gun he made the stars evaporate. Then Pecos saw the stars declining, so he left one brightly shining as the emblem of the Lone Star Texas State. So yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-o.
The songs and stories about Pecos Bill are a lasting monument to the men who accomplished the great cattle drives. But they are also, in many ways, a reflection of the very bigness of the West itself. The tallest mountains, the deepest canyons, the driest deserts. No other geography in all the world is more overpowering than the western part of America. Many more legendary characters have emerged as a result of the challenges of our past. But the age of heroes is not finished. There's room for many more as people meet the challenges of their own time. For example, today we have problems of crowding and poor housing. Perhaps the hero to emerge will be a great architect or city planner. What is to be done about the ever-increasing pollution of our air, our lakes, our rivers, and even our oceans? Perhaps a great engineer will arise with a solution. What of the need to conserve our natural resources? Perhaps the legendary hero will be a public official with the foresight of a Johnny Appleseed. There is the need to develop new sources of power and energy. Perhaps a nuclear scientist will find the answer. What of the untapped potential of the oceans to supply both food and natural resources? Perhaps a famous aquanaut will arise to meet the challenge. The entire world is facing a problem of producing enough food for its growing population. Perhaps the hero to emerge will be a great biochemist or nutritionist. Another great need of the world is for better health. Perhaps a distinguished doctor or research scientist will emerge as the hero. The problems of understanding between people and nations are more urgent than ever before. Perhaps a great statesman or peacemaker will arise to lead the way. But whatever the problems, the needs, the challenges, and whether we consider the legendary heroes of the past or those of the future, we can be sure the list will continue to grow. And as we look forward to the frontier of space and the universe, we can see there is no end to the story. It is fitting that the first vehicle to take man from the Earth to a landing on our moon was named Apollo. We are reminded how far man has come since the imaginary Apollo drove his fiery chariot across the sky.